All right. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about solving equations again. Previously we've done addition and subtraction and how we undo those two operations, but today we're going to be talking about what to do when you have multiplication and division. So the most important thing when we jump into this today is you have to always remember that we are keeping the equation balanced. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. That's so important, just like what we did with addition and subtraction. So your job today is you're going to be solving one-step equations with that multiplication and division. So let's think about it. If you have something like this, sometimes it's kind of simple to see. You might not have to show all your work, but sometimes it's not as easy. So let's go through some easy ones first. Right now, this is saying 3 times x. Anytime it's right next to each other like that, that means multiplication. So 3 times x is equal to 27. So you might ask yourself the question, 3 times what would be 27? Some of you might be able to know that without doing any work. But the process is very similar to what we did previously. We're going to draw our balance bar down that equation, and we're going to try to get x by itself. So to do that, we're going to do the opposite of multiplication, which would be division. So to get x all by itself, I'm going to divide by 3. Because 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So I know I keep saying get it by itself, but when you have this multiplication, getting it by itself means you're just getting a 1x, okay, 1x by itself. And then over here, I have 27 divided by 3 is equal to 9. So my answer is 9. Okay? Over here, I'm seeing a fraction. Don't freak out. Really, all this means is you got to think about what operation this is. M over 2 is the same thing as M divided by 2. So this is a division problem. All right, so if I have division and I want to try to get m by itself, I'm going to need to get rid of this 2. So to do that, I'm going to do the opposite, just like I've always been doing. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply this 2 up here, and whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so I'm going to multiply this by 2. Now when I multiply this by 2, 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1, right? So if I multiply 2 over 1 times m over 2, I'm just going to have 2m over 2. And when I see that, these 2's are going to cancel out. Remember when we talked about fractions and how we can simplify before we multiply? We looked at those diagonals to see what we could cancel out. That's essentially what we're doing here. So if I have 2 across from a 2, what can I take out of both of those? I can take out a 2. Which those both become 1s, right? So essentially, I can just cross those out. So all I'm left with on this side is a 1m, okay? So that's the long version of what you're supposed to be doing. And then negative 10 times 2 is a negative 20, okay? So those are the easy problems. Some of you might not have had to go through that whole process, but that's how it works. These are definitely more challenging. You have to kind of really be careful with what you're doing here. So again, I'm going to draw my balance bar down the equal sign. And the tricky part of this one, hopefully you're seeing, is that the x is on the wrong side of the equation. Not the wrong side, just a different side, right? So you have to really be careful and ask yourself, what am I trying to get by itself? I'm trying to get this x by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 24, because this is a multiplication problem. I'm going to undo it by doing division. So divide both sides by negative 24. Those go away. So x is equal to, some of you might be saying, well, the answer is 3. But be really careful. This is 8 over 24. So you could either type it into your calculator, simplify the fraction, but you have to think, what can I take out of the top and the bottom? And the answer is 8. I can divide the top by 8. I can divide the bottom by 8. I'm simplifying that fraction. So my answer would be, negative divided by negative is a positive, so positive 1 over 3. Okay, so that's a tricky one because you end up with a fraction. Same thing over here. I'm going to draw my fraction bar, or sorry, my balance bar. I'm going to try to get a by itself. Right now it's being multiplied by negative 30. So to undo that, again, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 30. And again, I have a fraction that I need to simplify. Okay? I have to get a by itself, which I did, 1a or just a. And I have to think, what can I divide by both of those? And the answer would be 5. So I have one negative, so my answer is going to be negative. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 30 divided by 5 is 6. So my answer is negative 5 over 6. Okay? So some easier ones, some more challenging ones. Bottom line, just be very careful and go slow when you're doing these problems. So if I have a multiplication problem like this, like this, like this, how do I undo it? The opposite operation is going to be division. Okay? And then how do I undo a division problem like this? The opposite would be multiplication. Okay?